All right, more factoring, no problem. So yeah, I would look at this and I would see if there's any greatest common factors that we can pull out. Okay, well, the leading coefficient here is still 1, phantom 1. So I'm not worried about the numbers, but I would worry about the y's, right? Because generally speaking, when we're looking at these trinomials like this, it's nice to factor these if it's a y to the power of 2 and then y and then just a constant right there. So if I were to expand these y's, this first one, y, 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 second one, well, I'll show the negative 4 as well, and then negative 12y, right? Well, what this means is I can take a y from each of these three terms, and I can pull it out as the greatest common factor. And then whatever's left inside the parentheses is whatever was left over from the three terms, such as these two y's from the first term. Y times y is y to the power of 2. We also have this negative 4y from the second term, so it just stays negative 4y. And then our third term here, negative 12. Now that we have done that, we've pulled out the greatest common factor, that green y. The next thing I would do is just see if we can factor that out into just specifically the trinomial here, into two separate binomials, right? Which means I'm going to look at that negative 12 here and see if I can find any factor pairs that add up to negative 4. So I'd say, well, 1 and negative 12, that doesn't really work. That'd be negative 11. If I made it negative 1 and positive 12, still doesn't work as 11 right there, right? So I could say 2 and negative 6. And yeah, that one's going to work, 2 and negative 6 right there. If I add those together, then I get the negative 4 coefficient of y. So I know I can split this up into two separate binomials with the y's right there. And of course, we still got the green y out in front. But I'm going to take these two factors. The positive 2 I'm going to show as plus 2. And the negative 6 I'm going to show as negative 6 or minus 6 right there. Okay, so that factors out everything on this one. And we kind of had to do it in two parts, right, with the greatest common factor and then also the factoring of trinomials using the rule that we learned in that last lesson of this unit. And by the way, just like you can with the previous problems on this one, if you wanted to like FOIL these two and then multiply all three terms by this y, you can kind of work your way back into this original expression, and that would be a good way to check to make sure that you factored that correctly.